Is TransLink in financial trouble? TransLink wants you to believe so.
Now is not the time. And that's because at TransLink, we are facing a fiscal crisis.
That is CEO Kevin Quinn arguing why they aren't giving in to demands by the QP union that caused a 2-day shutdown to the bus and C-bus system this week. And he made a very specific claim, several times.
TransLink is facing a structural deficit of $4.6 billion over the next 10 years. A $4.6 billion deficit over 10 years.
TransLink says because of that anticipated deficit, they can't give in to union demands. But is it true? Well, sort of, if TransLink does nothing. Let me explain. First, let's do some math. Based on what we know, the two sides seem to be about $5,000 to $10,000 apart in salaries for the workers in question. Now, those workers are about 180 in total, so overall, the sides are about $1 to $2 million apart. Now, in a $2 billion budget, that's a rounding error. But TransLink is making a slightly different argument.
Many of the unions across the TransLink enterprise do look at other union negotiated agreements for either formal Me Too clauses or even informally to ask for what other members got. These ripple effects that would happen on other contracts that, in our estimation, amount to $250 million over a 10-year period.
Now, that ripple effect is a guess. Those new contracts haven't been negotiated yet. But let's assume it's true and they go the union's way. Quinn says it matters because of TransLink's overall financial situation, which, if you've forgotten, is
a $4.6 billion deficit over 10 years.
And here's where that comes from. Traditionally, TransLink got about half its revenue from two main sources: the fares that everyone pays when they get on the system, and the 18.5 cents per liter in gas tax everyone in Metro Vancouver pays for when they go to the gas station. But a smaller percentage of the public is going to the gas station these days because of the rise in electric vehicles. Ridership on buses is still down compared to before the pandemic, and the cost of things keeps going up, which means TransLink is in a financial imbalance. Here is a chart. It shows the combined gas tax and fare revenue they've gotten in the last 7 years, adjusted for inflation, which means there's about a $200 million yearly revenue gap when compared to pre-pandemic times. And if TransLink wants to keep growing like they want to, but they can't find the money to do so, that gap will grow.
We fortunately have been the recipient of provincial and federal government funding that has allowed us to stay stable through the end of 2025. But the fact is that it is not financially responsible to dig that hole any deeper.
Of course, TransLink has options. They could increase the gas tax, or raise fares, or potentially lobby higher levels of government for more taxation tools. Or they could get more one-time infusions of money like they did during the pandemic. So TransLink has lots of cards they could play, but for the moment, they're dealing out one: the message of a financially shaky future, whether the union thinks that's fair game or not. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.